Adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. JATAKA number 46. Aramadosaka JATAKA. It is knowledge. This story was told by the master in a certain village of Kosala about one who spoiled a garden. Tradition says that, in the course of an alms journey among the people of Kosala, the master came to a certain village. An official of the place invited the Buddha to take the midday meal at his house, and had his guests seated in the garden, where he explained hospitality to the brotherhood with the Buddha at its head, and courteously gave them leave to stroll at will about his grounds. So the brethren rose up and walked about the grounds with the gardener. Observing in their walk a bare space, they said to the gardener, "Lay disciple, elsewhere in the garden there is abundant shade. But here there's neither tree nor shrub. How comes this?" "Sirs," replied the man, "when these grounds were being laid out, a village boy, who was doing the watering, pulled up all the young trees hereabouts and then gave them much or little water according to the size of their roots. So the young trees withered and died off. And that is why the space is bare." Coming near to the master, the brethren told him this. "Yes, brethren," said he, "this is not the first time that village boy has spoiled a garden. He did precisely the same in past times also." And so saying, he told this story of the past. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was king of Benares, a festival was proclaimed in the city. And at the first summoning notes of the festive drum outpoured the townsfolk to keep holiday. Now in those days, a tribe of monkeys was living in the king's garden. And the king's gardener thought to himself, "They re-holiday making up in the city. I'll get the monkeys to do the watering for me, and be off to enjoy myself with the rest." So saying, he went to the king of the monkeys. And, first living on the benefits his majesty and his subjects enjoyed from residence in the garden in the way of flowers and fruit and young shoots to eat, ended by saying, "Today there's holiday making up in the city, and I'm off to enjoy myself. Couldn't you water the young trees while I'm away?" "Oh, yes," said the monkey. "Only mind you do," said the gardener. And off he went, giving the monkeys the waterskins and wooden watering pots to do the work with. Then the monkeys took the waterskins and watering pots, and fell to watering the young trees. "But we must mind not to waste the water," observed their king. "As you water, first pull each young tree up and look at the size of its roots. Then give plenty of water to those whose roots strike deep, but only a little to those with tiny roots. When this water is all gone, we shall be hard put to it to get more." "To be sure," said the other monkeys, and did as he asked them to. At this juncture a certain wise man, seeing the monkeys thus engaged, asked them why they pulled up tree after tree and watered them according to the size of their roots. "Because such are our king's commands," answered the monkeys. Their reply moved the wise man to think how, with every desire to do good, the ignorant and foolish only succeed in doing harm. And he recited this stanza: "It is knowledge crowns hard work with success. For fools are stopped by their foolishness. See the ape that killed the garden trees." With this rebuke to the king of the monkeys, the wise man departed with his followers from the garden. Said the master, "This is not the first time, brethren, that this village boy has spoiled gardens. He was just the same in past times also." His lesson ended. He explained the relation and identified the birth by saying, "The village boy who spoiled this garden was the king of the monkeys in those days, and I was myself the wise and good man." Source: adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. JATAKA number 47. Varani JATAKA. It is knowledge. This story was told by the master while at Jetavana monastery about one who spoiled spirits. Tradition says that Anathapindika had a friend who kept a tavern. This friend got ready a supply of strong spirits which he sold for gold and for silver, and his tavern was crowded. He gave orders to his apprentice to sell for cash only, and went off himself to bathe. This apprentice, while serving out the rum to his customers, observed them sending out for salt and jaggery and eating it as a wet. Thought he to himself, there can't be any salt in our liquor. I'll put some in. So he put a pound of salt in a bowl of rum, and served it out to the customers. And they no sooner took a mouthful, than they spat it out again, saying, "What have you been up to? I saw you sending for salt after drinking our liquor, so I mixed some salt in. And that's how you've spoiled good liquor, you idiot," cried the customers, and with abuse they got up one after another and went out of the tavern. When the keeper of the tavern came home, and did not see a single customer about, he asked where they had all got to. So the apprentice told him what had happened. Berating him for his wrongdoing, the man went off and told Khuddhaka. And the latter, thinking the story a good one to tell, went to JATAKA monastery, where after due act of homage he told the master all about it. "This is not the first time, layman," said the master, "that this apprentice has spoiled spirits. He did just the same once before." Then at Khuddhaka's request, he told this story of the past. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, the bodhisattva was the treasurer of Benares, and had a tavern keeper who lived under his protection. This man having got ready a supply of strong spirits, which he left his apprentice to sell while he himself went off to bathe, during his absence his apprentice mixed salt with the liquor, and spoiled it just in the same way. When on his return the young man's guide and master came to know what had been done, he told the story to the treasurer. "Truly," said the latter, "the ignorant and foolish, with every desire to do good, only succeed in doing harm." And he recited this stanza. "It is knowledge crowns hard work with success. For fools are stopped by their foolishness. See Khuddhaka's salted bowl of rum." In these lines the bodhisattva taught the truth. Said the master, "Layman, this same person spoiled spirits in the past as now." Then he explained the relation and identified the birth by saying, "He who spoiled the spirits now was also the spoiler of the spirits in those past days, and I myself was then the treasurer of Benares." Source: adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. JATAKA number 48. Vedabha JATAKA. Misguided effort. This story was told by the master while at JATAKA monastery, about a self-willed brother. Said the master to that brother, "This is not the first time, brother, that you have been self-willed. You were of just the same nature in past times also. And therefore it was that, as you would not follow the advice of the wise and good, you came to be cut in two by a sharp sword and were thrown on the highway. And you were the sole cause why 1,000 men met their end." And so saying, he told this story of the past. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, there was a brahmin in a village who knew the charm called Vedabha. Now this charm, so they say, was precious beyond all price. For if at a certain conjunction of the planets the charm was repeated and the gaze bent upwards to the skies, straightway from the heavens there rained the 7 things of price: gold, silver, pearl, coral, katsi, ruby, and diamond. In those days the bodhisattva was a pupil of this brahmin. And one day his master left the village on some business or other, and came with the bodhisattva to the country of Siddhi. In a forest by the way lived 500 robbers known as the dispatchers, who made the way impassable. And these caught the bodhisattva and the Vedabha brahmin. Why, you ask, were they called the dispatchers? Well, the story goes that of every 2 prisoners they made they used to send one to fetch the ransom. And that's why they were called the dispatchers. If they captured a father and a son, they told the father to go for the ransom to free his son. If they caught a mother and her daughter, they sent the mother for the money. If they caught 2 brothers, they let the elder go. And so too, if they caught a teacher and his pupil, it was the pupil they set free. In this case, therefore, they kept the Vedabha brahmin, and sent the bodhisattva for the ransom. And the bodhisattva said with a bow to his master, "In a day or 2 I shall surely come back. Have no fear." Only fail not to do as I shall say. Today will come to pass the conjunction of the planets which brings about the reign of the things of price. Take notice otherwise, yielding to this mishap, you repeat the charm and call down the precious shower. For, if you do, calamity will certainly happen to both of you and this band of robbers. With this warning to his master, the bodhisattva went his way in quest of the ransom. At sunset the robbers bound the brahmin and laid him by the heels. Just at this moment the full moon rose over the eastern horizon, and the brahmin, studying the heavens, knew that the great conjunction was taking place. Why, thought he, should I suffer this misery? By repeating the charm I will call down the precious rain, pay the robbers the ransom, and go free. So he called out to the robbers, "Friends, why do you take me a prisoner?" "To get a ransom, reverend sir," said they. "Well, if that is all you want," said the Brahmin, "make haste and untie me. Have my head bathed, and new clothes put on me. And let me be perfumed and decorated with flowers. Then leave me to myself." The robbers did as he asked them. And the Brahmin, noticing the conjunction of the planets, repeated his charm with eyes uplifted to the heavens. Then the things of price poured down from the skies. The robbers picked them all up, wrapping their loot into bundles with their cloaks. Then with their brethren they marched away. And the Brahmin followed in the rear. But, as luck would have it, the party was captured by a second band of 500 robbers. "Why do you seize us?" said the first to the second band. "For the loot," was the answer. "If loot is what you want, seize on that Brahmin, who by simply gazing up at the skies brought down riches as rain. It was he who gave us all that we have got." So the second band of robbers let the first band go, and seized on the Brahmin, crying, "Give us riches too." "It would give me great pleasure," said the Brahmin. "But it will be a year before the necessary conjunction of the planets takes place again. If you will only be so good as to wait till then, I will invoke the precious shower for you." "Rascally Brahmin!" cried the angry robbers, "you made the other band rich offhand, but want us to wait a whole year." And they cut him in two with a sharp sword, and throw his body in the middle of the road. Then hurrying after the first band of robbers, they killed every man of them two in hand-to-hand fight, and seized the loot. Next, they divided into two companies and fought among themselves, company against company, till 250 men were killed. And so they went on killing one another, till only 2 were left alive. Thus did those 1,000 men come to destruction. Now, when the 2 survivors had managed to carry off the treasure, they hid it in the jungle near a village. And one of them sat there, sword in hand, to guard it, while the other went into the village to get rice and have it cooked for supper. "Desire of possession is the root cause of ruin," said he that stopped by the treasure. "When my mate comes back, he'll want half of this. Suppose I kill him the moment he gets back." So he drew his sword and sat waiting for his comrade's return. Meanwhile, the other had equally thought that the loot had to be halved, and thought to himself, "Suppose I poison the rice, and give it him to eat, and so kill him, and have the whole of the treasure to myself." Accordingly, when the rice was boiled, he first ate his own share, and then put poison in the rest, which he carried back with him to the jungle. But scarce had he set it down, when the other robber cut him in two with his sword, and hid the body away in a secluded spot. Then he ate the poisoned rice, and died then and there. Thus, by reason of the treasure, not only the Brahmin but all the robbers came to destruction. However, after a day or two the bodhisattva came back with the ransom, not finding his master where he had left him, but seeing treasure strewn all round about. His heart misgave him that, in spite of his advice, his master must have called down a shower of treasure from the skies, and that all must have perished in consequence. And he proceeded along the road. On his way he came to where his master's body lay split in two upon the way. "Alas!" he cried, "he is dead through not regarding my warning." Then with gathered sticks he made a pyre and burnt his master's body, making an offering of wild flowers. Further along the road, he came upon the 500 dispatchers, and further still upon the 250, and so on by degrees until at last he came to where lay only 2 corpses. Noticing how of the 1,000 all but 2 had perished, and feeling sure that there must be 2 survivors, and that these could not abstain from conflict, he pressed on to see where they had gone. So on he went till he found the path by which with the treasure they had turned into the jungle. And there he found a heap of bundles of treasure, and one robber lying dead with his rice bowl overturned at his side. Realizing the whole story at a glance, the bodhisattva set himself to search for the missing man, and at last found his body in the secret spot where it had been thrown. And thus, mused the bodhisattva, through not following my advice my master in his self-will has been the means of destroying not himself only but 1,000 others also. Truly, they that seek their own gain by mistaken and misguided means shall reap ruin, even as my master. And he repeated this stanza. Misguided effort leads to loss, not gain. Thieves killed Vedabha and themselves were killed. Thus spoke the bodhisattva. And he went on to say. And even as my master's misguided and misplaced effort in causing the rain of treasure to fall from heaven brought both his own death and the destruction of others with him, even so shall every other man who by mistaken means seeks to compass his own advantage, utterly perish and involve others in his destruction. With these words did the bodhisattva make the forest ring. And in this stanza did he preach the truth, while the tree fairies shouted applause. The treasure he planned to carry off to his own home, where he lived out his term of life in the exercise of almsgiving and other good works. And when his life closed, he departed to the heaven he had won. Said the master, this is not the first time, brother, you were self-willed. You were self-willed in past times as well. And by your self-will you came to utter destruction. His lesson ended, he identified the birth by saying, the self-willed brother was the Vedabha Brahmin of those days, and I myself his pupil.